Okay, hello everybody. Oh, no, teacher how? My name is William. Okay, well, when I was recording my video about why do I live in the United States? Okay, to talk about why do I live in the United States, I was recording some of it, but there's something I forgot to tell you about. Well, I forgot to talk about the pros and cons of living in the United States of America. Okay, in when I was recording it, yeah. So I'm gonna do that now. And then I will talk, and then I will go to the rest of the video after, and I will go to the rest of the recording after. So, here it is. Okay, let's change this to the United States because okay, let's talk about living in the United States, okay? Alright? Just in case. Alright, so, the United States offers a high average of incomes, abundant jobs opportunities, and diverse climates with many residents, spacious housing, and friendly service. Alright? And strong career growth and major advantages. However, significant drawbacks include high health care costs, and without universal coverage, complex and tax visa systems, extreme weather events like hurricanes and tornadoes. That's like in the East Coast. You know, I don't have to read about that here in California, but, you know, we have to read about here in California is earthquakes and wildfires, and, you know, and there's also volcanoes here in California too. You know, yeah, they might be, I don't know when they're going, you know, they are up here and there. So, yeah, economic strength is the highest average globally of high taxes in many states. That's true, including here in California. Yes. Yep. Natural diversity, ranging in deserts and mountains, and extended travel and outdoor options. And then the comprehensive infrastructure featuring of air travel and 24/7 services and car-friendly highways. Yeah, cultural friendly fences of innovation, internship, and freedom of speech. Even though that is going away because of age, because of the stupid age vacation. Anyway, yeah, freedom of speech is going away, and so is our privacy because of the stupid age vacation. But don't worry. You know, I am trying to fight back against this by calling our representatives. Because, you know, because it is true that age vacation is violating our rights and violating our First and Fourth Amendment. So, now, healthcare and education cost, which is extremely high and leading significant down in financial risk. Yes. Now, gun violence and crime rates are hardly compared to many developed nations. That is true, even though my state, California, has very strict gun laws. So, yeah, which is another problem. Yeah, so, and gun laws are very different in other states. So, yeah, so yeah, you need a gun to protect yourself here in the U.S. You know, and the Bible does say Christians should own a weapon. Now, living social nets and economic equality. Despite charities and stabilities and quality of life. Yeah. And public transportation is underdeveloped in major cities, making car ownership the most, and urbanization is stable climate, and leading social division and legal uncertainty. So. Alright, and now here, so see here, living in America offers high career potential and cultural diversity and high income opportunities, but it comes with drawbacks like expensive health care, significant income inequality, and high cost of living. The country provides immense geographic neutrality and top-tier education, With strong culture and leadership, yet lacks robust public transportation in mere areas. That's true anyway. So here's a pros of Link America. Alright? So career opportunities of higher pay. So generally higher salaries compared to other countries, especially on skilled workers. And then there's some comes to culture and rewards ambition. The cultural geographic diversity is melting pot of cultures, food, and people, and diverse landscapes ranging coastal cities and national parks, education system, home of many top tier universities, research institutions, and entrepreneurship. A supportive environment of starting business, innovation, yeah. Consumer choice of convenience, widely its goods often, and lower cost and denominations of housing, yeah. Now we need to talk about we can also talk about the cons. So expensive healthcare, right? High medical cost and health insurance, and essentially sometimes tied to employment. Yeah, that is true. You know, I do have Medi-Cal to take care of my health insurance, and I do, and that's which is here in California. But I do believe that health insurance. I do believe there's stuff that's similar to that in other states too. You know, if you need help, if you need something to pay with your health insurance, I believe there's people who can help you with that in other states too, not just here in California. That's why. You know, that's why. I have Medi-Cal to pay for my health insurance, but that's only here in California. I don't know about other states. I do believe other states have something similar to Medi-Cal, but if you have stuff that's similar to other states, you can let me know in the comments below, because if you're trying to pay with your health care, because I know health care is pretty expensive here in the U.S. That's why. Now, high cost of living. Rise expensive of housing, childcare, and food, especially in major cities. That is true. You know. Now, weak social and safety net, limiting paid vacation, parental leave, and worker protection compared to European nations. Well, there are theme parks to go to in the U.S., but yeah. Now, gun safety and crime. Higher crime rate in specific areas, particularly gun violence. Yes, that is true. And different states have different gun laws. Here in California, we have very strict gun laws, but but gun laws are different in other states. So. Infrastructure and transportation. Heavy reliance on automobiles and limited outdated public transportation in major cities. That's true. Now public immigration. Extremely difficult lady process obtain work, visas, or green cards. It's true. Another con you can add on living in the US is age verification, which just got started in the UK. But don't worry, the way to fight back against age verification is to call your representatives. Because we need to fight back against this. That's why. I really hate age verification. And, and I know it's violating our First and Fourth Amendment, freedom of speech and privacy. That's why. I know, it doesn't protect children at all. Anyway. I know, that's another con we have to add about living in the U.S., fighting against age verification, and having age verification, even though we have to fight against it to remove it. Anyway. Now, work-life balance, often lower in European and developed countries, and to fewer mandated vacation days. That's true in the cultural adjustment. The American dream mentality is competitive, requires intense dedication. Well, I believe in the Christian dream, not an American dream. You know, that's why. Individual differences caused cultures and laws and different from state to, or simply from state to state. Yeah. That's true. And you know that's why. Different states have different laws. You know that's why. And there's also federal law. You get to vote here in the US too. You know. I'm planning to vote here in the US now because of the stupid age-fication laws. I don't like it, but I was choosing not to vote, but now it's going to be the way where I have to vote. Because of these stupid age-fication laws anyway. But anyway, I'll talk more about living in the United States. But this is to show you the pros and cons anyway. Here, if you want to know more, you know, you read this as well. There's a lot of good things. There's a lot of things you can do in the U.S. Like you can go camping and stuff. So. I'll let you read this to yourself if you want to, if you're thinking about living here in the U.S., but it's up to you, though. Anyway, here, I'll put this here. Alright, now, I'll talk more about living in the U.S. soon, okay? Because, well, I have to go right now and do something else, but don't worry guys, I'll be right back. Anyway. Okay, so hello everybody, I know Teacher Hal, my name is William. Okay, now today I'm going to talk about why do I live in the United States of America. Okay, I already talked about why do I live in the state of California, but I'm talking about, now I'm going to talk about the whole country as a whole. Now, you know, now it is true that, you know, so yes, so the state I was born in, I was born in Oregon, right there, yeah, in the capital called Salem, which is right there. I moved to here, in the city of Ontario, California. Which is right there, yeah. But now, here's something. Yes, I know, and yes, I know that California is one of the most expensive states to live. But there's other states you can live in if you don't want to live in California. Come on, yeah. There's also Nevada, which is next to California. That's why. And yeah, there's Arizona, New Mexico, and yep. Pastor Steven Anderson lives in Arizona, so he lives in the city of Phoenix, which is the capital of Arizona. I think he lived in. I think oh yeah, he used to live in Tempe and he moved to Phoenix. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Now, I learned that Pastor Jonathan Shelley and Ben the Baptist live in this state called Texas. There's Fort Worth right there. Yeah, Texas is bigger than California. Yeah, the second largest state in the U.S. You know, it's cheaper to live over there than Texas, but it does not have Kaiser, but yeah. Yeah, you know. And yeah, they got Louisiana shaped like an L. Mississippi. Oh yeah, there's Alabama. So yeah, this is where Ken Hovind lives in Alabama, and then Georgia, and there's oh yeah, and there's the Hurricane State, Florida. Well, they call it the Sunshine State, but it gets hurricanes. So. And each state that has its own name, like California is called the Golden State, the Texas is called the Lone Star State. California, yeah, and now Florida is called the Sunshine State, I believe. You know, now what's the biggest state in the U.S.? Well, I'll tell you right now. It's Alaska. I never been to Alaska. Yeah. Alaska might be a great state to visit. Maybe in the summer. It does get cold over there, though. In Alaska. Well, there's. Yeah, I don't know. Juneau is the capital, but the biggest state in Alaska. So the biggest city in Alaska is Anchorage, is what I heard. Oh yeah, there's Fairbanks right there. Oh, Sagwan. That's one of the northern ones. Huh. And there's a city called I don't know. Oh yeah. Oh, there's a city in Alaska called Wales. I did not even know that. Yeah, very that. Okay. But it borders. Yeah, and I know that it is true that the United States does have a maritime border with Russia. because of Alaska. That's why. And there's Hawaii right there. So. I've been to Arizona. I've never been to Texas. You see, there's a lot of states I want to visit, you know. I've never been to Utah or Colorado or Wyoming, Idaho, or Montana, so. And I know the Mount Rushmore is in South Dakota. I've never been there, or North Dakota, and I've never been there either, or North Dakota, anyway, so. Yeah, there's a lot of. I've never been to the East Coast at all, but I would like to visit them. That's why, you know. To tell you the truth is, and yes, the United States was called the land of the free at the time. You know, it's not free anymore because of stupid H-vacation. Yeah, that needs to die. And I mean to say is, and I mean, H-vacation needs to die. You know, that's what I meant to say is, and go to hell. But anyway, where it belongs. But anyway, well, I'll talk about more of that in the later video. Right now, I'm talking about why I live in the U.S., the United States of America. So, I grew up in the I grew up in the United States. That's why, you know, you could say it was the best country to live throughout the whole time. You know, that's why. You know. But the United States is more in just these 50 states. There's also the 14 territories. Let me show you. So Puerto Rico is right there. So that's another territory. Oh yeah, you also got the British Virgin Islands and the United States Virgin Islands. So if you want to know where the other ones are, let's take a look at where we can. Let's try to find American Samoa. You see, let's see if I can find American. Let's see where is Guam, and then let's see if I can find Guam. So Guam is right there. It's one of the 14 territories in the U.S. Yeah, it's a U.S. island territory in Micronesia. That's where it is. And there's the Northern Mariana Islands right there. So, and let's go find American Samoa. Okay, American Samoa. Okay, right here, American Samoa, which is right by the country of Samoa. So this is the country of Samoa, but here's the American Samoa right here. This island here, Western District. There's some, yeah, more like islands and stuff. That's what American Samoa is. Samoan Islands. And let's take a look how big it is, the United States and some other countries. So let's take a look. And that's okay. We can compare the United States to this country. Now, would you like to compare to the United States to a country that's to this kind of country? Yeah, that is autocratic and capitalist. Yeah. Here's United States. I'm comparing to the You can compare how big the U.S. is. So here, as you can see right here, the United States of America is about as big as China in landmass. You see, look how big. You see. You try to get to the size of this. Now, if you want to make it here, then the United States could look all distorted. See? And oh yeah, same with China. See, it gets all distorted. Oh. Yeah, that's a lot. Because you can see how see how historic Greenland is. That's why. But yeah, see. The United States is about as big as China in landmass. But, you have to learn something here. The United States is a much better country to live in than China. Okay, why? And I'll tell you why right now, because, well, now, yeah, here's Washington, D.C. right there. It's a federal district. I don't know if it will become a state anytime soon. It depends. But there's some people that live there. I don't know if I can find the White House. Oh, there it is, right there, the White House. Found it. And if I can take a look at it. Yeah, so there's the White House. Oh, yeah. So here's the White House. Yeah. Never been there, but it looks pretty cool, though. But if you want me to compare it to, see, the White House looks great and stuff, but let's compare it. If you want to compare it, to no, that's come on. Can I? Oh. Yeah, that's good, but I want to see. Okay, yeah, I'm on Baidu Maps, but I want to show you that. I want to show you. I'm comparing the White House with the house in of China and Beijing. So because to show you. Oh, come on. Why can't get this to? Why can't get this Baidu search this map to work? Anyway. Yeah, I don't know why Baidu Maps is not even cooperating with me. This Chinese version of Google Earth or Google Maps, whatever it is. I'm sorry, it's just not cooperating with me. I don't know why. It's just so stupid. Well, I don't know why it doesn't even want to cooperate with me. This, yeah, I think to me, I think someone who made Baidu Maps is just not very good at making it. It's not very good at making this website anyway. I know. And it's just so okay. And I want to do is compare the White House. Oh, sorry, I did not want to go in. I did not want to see what's inside the White House. That's my mistake. I want to see the road. Come on, go away. Do not want to I'm sorry. I want to see what's inside the. I want to see it on the road, not in the White House. Thank you. Jeez. Okay. I'm sorry. It took me inside the White House instead of what's inside, instead of the whole thing. I did not even know I can do that. But that is pretty cool. Yeah, Google Maps can do a lot of things. But I'm trying to do is. So there's the White House. Now that's compared to the house. That's compared to the temple of. That's compared to this place. So what do you want your road to be? This, or no? I have to do is or will you want your ruler to be wait. Yeah, I don't like this. Okay, sorry. I was trying to show you too many things. Or what you want this. Beijing, China. I don't see the comparative let me show you. So to me, I believe the White House looks a lot better than than that place over there. Yeah. That place looks. Yeah, I don't know. To me, I think China's ruling play what is it make call ruling place looks not as great as the White House anyway. But I'm just showing you the difference between the two. So yeah, it doesn't even look so great at all. It just looks, to me, it looks I don't know, terrible anyway. But I'm showing you to compare the two anyway, so that's why. But yeah, the White House looks a lot better. So, and I can then that place that's in that place in Beijing, China anyway. So let's just try to show you the differences anyway. Yeah, the United States is a lot better country to live. So yeah, here's the White House right there. See, you can see it from up close. And there's the United States flag right there. And yeah, it's the home of the America's president. So this is in Street View. Yeah. So here's the White House in Street View, just like you see the Beijing temple or whatever this region is in China and Street View. So that's why I think I like this place better. So because I know I live in the U.S. So, but I wanted to show you the difference between the two because U.S. You know, I'm telling you, the United States is a lot better country to live in China. You know, you don't want to live. Oh, come on, you know. Yeah. Sure, we can fight against age vacation, but in China, you got a lot more problems to deal with than just, you know, than just. But in China, you got even more problems to deal with than stupid age vacation. I'll show you. You can't even criticize the government over there. Let me get out of this. You see, I'll tell you what the United States have that China does not have at all. In the U.S., we have the Bill of Rights, and I'll show you. I'll show you what the Bill of Rights are. Okay, we have the Bill of Rights here in the U.S. Okay, the First Amendment, which is the freedom of religion and speech of press. The Second Amendment is protect the rights and to keep the bear arms. You know, right? Having the right to have a gun and stuff. Yes. The Third Amendment is just, you know, soldiers in private homes. The Fourth Amendment is protect against reasonable searches and sizes require warrants and based on probable cause. Yeah, that's privacy. So the Fourth Amendment is about having a right of privacy. You know, that's why. And you got the Fifth Amendment right here. Protect yourself in subjugation. You got the Sixth Amendment, which is the guarantees of right. You got to guarantee the right as it is. You got the Seventh Amendment, which is the jury trial in civil causes. You got the Eighth Amendment, which is the bans extensive bill. Ninth Amendment, which is states of information, and you got the 10th Amendment, which is reserved powers and delegation to the federal government. So, and I'm telling you guys, and yes, it is true that age vacation is a violation of the First Amendment and the Fourth Amendment, but that's something you have to do though. Look, you have the right to protest against the government here in the U.S. by calling your representatives. You know, that's why. You know, this is something you can do in the United States. Something you can't do in China, but you can do it here in the U.S. And that's why. And let's get out of the way. That's Street View. So, in the U.S., I've been going now. I've been believing what the Bible says. You know, that's why. For a long time here in the, you know, that's why. I love living in, and you know, it is true. I do love living in the United States of America, but it's not. You know, I know it's not really. You can call, you know, it's a great, you know, it was the best nation to live in, you know, at the time, you know. Yeah, that's continuous 48. So. Okay, so the United States. That's I'm trying to talk to you about here. I believe the Bible. I believe what the Bible says. So yeah, it is true that every state in the U.S. has its own capital. You know that's why. Like well, like the state I live in, which is California. Well, yeah, it is true. Their capital is called Sacramento, which is the word sacrament in Spanish. Let's take a look at Sacramento. You got there's the California State Capitol Museum, huh? California State Railroad Museum. Oh, West Sacramento. Oh, here's the California State Senate. Right there. You see, if I want to I'm going to take a look at it. The California State Senate is right there. The California State Capitol Museum. Yeah. It's the California State Library. Yeah. Oh, so the California State Senate is right there. Okay. So that's the state capital of California. Even know what it looks like and stuff. I could show you a lot of others. I can show you capitals of other states, but it'll be too much. So. You can tell me where, if you do live in the U.S., you can always learn. So, I do have the book about the 50 states in the U.S., and I do have the book about the presidents, but I have the book about the presidents of the United States. So, It is true, and it is true. The United States of America became a country in 1776. It wasn't all free because, you know, the United States used to be a racist country. It used to be, yeah. But, you know, it's not racist anymore. But it used to be. You know, that's why. And it is true the United States does border Canada and Mexico. But the United States does have some maritime borders. Let me show you. So yes, it does have maritime border with Cuba and the Bahamas. And if you want, and you see with Puerto Rico, you can have, I guess you could say that the United States does have a maritime border with Dominican Republic, if you want to count Puerto Rico. But you see, this is the country that I live in. But you know, and I know there's a lot of other countries that I do want to visit in the future. You know, like Taiwan. I do want to visit Taiwan sometime, and also Japan. I do want to visit Japan sometime too. So. Would I move to Taiwan if age vacation does get worse in the U.S.? I don't know. Maybe. But I have to check out Taiwan first. That's why. You know, that's what I have to do is, I might have to check out Taiwan first. That's why. You see how great Taiwan, you see how great Taiwan is. I don't know. I never been. I don't know much. I've never been to Taiwan. I just heard it's a free democratic country. If I moved there, I would probably do is try to live in a city where the city that has that has very low amount of foreigners. So that way. So that way I'll be forced to I would be forced to learn Mandarin. I would be forced to speak Mandarin. But that's just me anyway. That's what I would do if I want to move to Taiwan anyway. And yes, I would visit Japan as well. Yeah, even though I don't want to learn Japanese, but that's just me anyway. So. I just want to visit. So, you know, I know visiting Asia is my dream anyway. But, you know, that's my dream. You know, visiting Asia. So, I know a lot of ones I never visited yet. So, yeah, a lot of states I never visited yet. So, I never visited Washington yet, but maybe I might. I never visited Idaho or Montana. No, I never visited Wyoming or Utah or Colorado or or even New Mexico. So, Nebraska, there's Kansas, Oklahoma, and yeah, I already talked about Texas, so. Yeah, there's Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, and yeah, I already talked about Louisiana, so. And Wisconsin's right there. And there's a lake, so yeah, Michigan is touching, it's bordering these lakes. Illinois and Indiana. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Tennessee. Oh yeah, there's Kentucky right there. Yeah, Virginia, which is my friend said, and there's West Virginia. No. One of my cousins used to live in New York. You know. Yeah, this one, yeah, so Pennsylvania. And there's Delaware right there. Yeah, where 4chan is at. I don't know if I can find the place. The 4chan headquarters. Yeah, but I want to see where the 4chan headquarters is at. Let me take a look at that. And I know, and I thought it's in, because I know I thought it's in Delaware. Okay, so let's take a look at it. Oh yeah, 4chan headquarters is in located in Granville, Michigan. Okay, but it's registered in Delaware, in the central Los Angeles. Okay, so its community support is listed in Delaware. But the fifth grade is Granville, Michigan. Okay, and then there is registered in Delaware. Okay. Yeah, but this is the only place I heard of that's by fighting against H vacation. So. All right. Now let me see something. All right, so. You can read about the U.S. right there on Wikipedia if you want to. So. Oh yeah, there's the coat of arms. It's a bald eagle. Okay. You see? You can read it about Wikipedia if you want to. But you know, that's just something I have to learn about. So I've been living in the US for my entire life. You know, that's why. And I'll tell you where you can go to let me close this. So if you want to fight against age vacation, the best thing you can do is you can go on to badinternetbills.com and it will take you to which one you want to have to. So yeah, you got the section 230, you got COSA, you got Take It Down, you got all this. Oh, online ID checks, screen, okay, yeah, age gain bills. But this is something I have to do, and you have to do is say take action, so, this is for, yeah, you can join the boat test against age vacation here on this website. So this is where you can go to, besides just going to Net Choice, which is besides going to Net Choice, which is over here. To call your representatives here, but you know that's why. So I'll just show you another place you can go to, because I never show you this website called Say No to Bad Internet Bills. BadInternetBills.com. That's why. I'll show you. This is where you can. This is where you can fight. This is where you can sign petitions against age vacation. You probably have to. You probably have to register to vote. To sign up. To sign up for these petitions over here. But just letting you know anyway. You know, you have to. You know. I think this is what we have to do. And yeah, I mean, you can also get net, and hopefully you can also. Yes, I know that Net Choice has been putting the age vacation laws in court, which is great and stuff. Yeah. But I try to help you, you know, help you, guys, you know, that's why. I live in the U.S. because I grew up here in the U.S. It's a great it's a great country. At the time, you know, I loved living here, and it has been treating me good ever since. You know, ever since I've been here for a long time. You know, that's why. And I'll talk about what you want to do next video. Well, I could talk about more about the U.S. I could talk about other things in the U.S. about the U.S. next video if you want me to talk about that. You know. And yes, the United States does have a constitution, and it has 50 states and it has 50 stars. And the United States flag. The first United States flag has 13 stars, you know, one original colonies. You know, that's why. But you know, but when more states join the US, you know, yeah. Well, we got the continuous 48, you know, that's why. During that time when the United States got these states here, yeah, that's when the U.S. got 48 states, got 48 stars, and then we got Alaska and Hawaii became states. After that, that's when the U.S. flag got 50 states. You got 50 stars, and yeah, it's for each state of the union. You know, the 13 states were original colonies. I do have the United States flag right here. So, right there. Yeah, what's in the back? I'll show you. The California flag. Just because, you know, I live in California, that's why. Alright. I don't know what to talk about. But you know, I'll talk about other things about the U.S. hopefully next video, so that you can learn about more stuff about the U.S. Okay. Oh, and if you want to know, yeah, please make sure you watch my How to Go to Heaven video on Rumble. Okay. Yeah. That. Okay. Yeah, make sure you watch that on Rumble. The How to Go to Heaven video on Rumble. Okay. And then and please. And yeah, please stay tuned for more videos, okay? I might be making some more soon anyway. I have to go right now. So thank you for watching this video. Cheers, goodbye. Adios and Zaijian. Oops. Did not want to do that. I want to do